have been doing homeopathy for the last 14 years and, being the consultant and the educator. And I've having worked with about 1,000 clients now in all forms of disease expression and having the specialized clinic of chronic complex cases. But if I look back, I would say more than half of these cases have been from the acute clinics I've worked at the start of my career. Now, although I had a private clinic in Mumbai when I graduated, and I really enjoyed a quite good success rate at this private clinic, I always wanted to be a part of these acute clinics because in every suburb there were charitable clinics and hospitals where you could work for a couple of days a week. And really, if you're passionate about homeopathy, this was really a good opportunity to get in touch with people from all walks of life and work on those one-on-one level using really keynote symptoms and fine tune your acute prescribing skills, because that was what I actually missed when I was doing my chronic cases. Now, the other thing which really made the acute clinic um, quite interesting for me was I used to have supervisors there and a panel of other homeopaths to connect to. And I could still remember one of my first acute clinic um, I attended was with Mr. Gunwante. And when as we went to this clinic, we had about 4 or 5 Trestle tables, and homeopath sat on one end of the table, and you had about, I think, 100 people gathered in the room, and each one of so the 4 or 5 homeopaths sat on one end of the table, and as these people came in, they sat on the other end. And so there was such a lot of chaos. So, everyone was talking and they were describing the symptoms, and then there was such a lot of noise behind, and it was so intimidating to be able to sit there, take those symptoms. I went all equipped with my Bonninghausen because I knew it was, stage 2 homeopathy by that time. And I understood that I had to really take those 4 important components of the case. But there was just no time to be able to refer the books, take a case, analyze things, and prescribe. It was just whatever we could remember from our keynotes and prescribe at that particular moment. So that was the first time I would say the acute clinics actually were the first time I realized how intense and how fulfilling homeopathy can be. Now, having said that, I had one of the most worst failures in those clinics because to start with, I was giving prescriptions without really being able to refer and be in my comfort zone. So I had some of the worst failures. People would come back, and series of people, who came in could have follow-ups and nothing worked. And that was a time I really had to go back and sit and think what I was doing, what was working, what wasn't working, test myself, refer my books. So I would say these clinics taught me such a lot about homeopathy, and to be able to wear those two hats, because enjoying that success rate in my private clinic and then coming here to the acute clinics and not being able to give that success was something which was really which hurt a lot. So I would say this is one of the best times to go and really work on those fundamentals and ground yourself. And the other thing which I realized was at that particular time, working in those acute clinics, we also had softwares at our hand. So that was when I realized what it really required out of us to be able to use the softwares. Now, when I started, I used quite a range of different softwares then, and I had fine tuned the process of what I needed to do when I was using those softwares. So if I have to really just go on and there were 7 steps which I realized we needed to do if we had to prescribe a patient. So the first one was about converting these symptoms into rubrics. The second thing was choosing the right repertory and the section within that repertory. The third one was locating the right rubric from all those different rubrics in that particular section. The second one, the fourth one was collecting those rubrics on a clipboard. Then the next part came where you repertorize by using a particular analysis method. And then The next one was opening up a Matramedica section or a program. And lastly, reading those remedies from the Matramedica. So I knew these were the different things you needed. Even if you had a software in front of you and you were finding things within a software, these were the 7 steps I always wanted to, you had to take when you were prescribing for your patients. Now, at that time, it was, when I had met my husband then, and he was in the software industry, and this was one of my dreams to really have somewhere where I could directly repertoire from the Metro America. Now, this was a very lateral thinking at that time because I thought he said this would be one important place where you could minimize all these steps which you were doing. Because even working, it was a nightmare to work on a paper repertorization, and obviously, software reduce that time a lot. But even within the software, doing all these 7 steps was taking a lot of time. So he said it is possible. You don't have to think like a homeopath, where you have to get a rubric and then convert it in, take a symptom, convert it into a rubric, and go back to the Mathemedica. You can actually just think of this is a symptom your patient is giving. Go and churn it directly from different books and different repertories together at the same time. And that was when I thought, if that's possible, that'd be great. So that was the first time I think the concept of somewhere having a feature within the software where you could have the repertorization done all at the same time in that one click was becoming possible. So when Dennis actually came to me and he said, having some sort of a software where students can use and actually get those prescriptions done quickly, I just thought it was so important for me to be able to communicate this to you because this is something which I'm really very passionate about, to be able to help people when they are in front of you, put those rubrics inside your computer and to be able to get those results and actually fast track the whole process. So, what I'll do is let's have a case example and let's see how you can work out different ways of repertorizing a case or working on a case when you have a person sitting right in front of you. And this is a process I've done so many times, and I've made mistakes in the first few years, but slowly this process became really fine tuned, and I was able to prescribe people when they were sitting right in front of me. So I would give a case example of this case. This is a very simple case of a headache. Let's see, we have 5 important symptoms here. So as you're all aware, working with acutes was all about using the Bojo Bonninghausen repertory for me. There were a few things why I used that repertory. I had seen that repertory being used when I worked in the OPDs, especially in the pediatric OPDs, and I saw many of the pediatricians use that repertory with real technique and getting those key symptoms out of those repertories. So I'd seen it work very well in the patients. The other thing, what I thought about that repertory was because it was really simple, you can use it like a Bonninghausen repertory as well as you can use it as a Kenton repertory. And the next thing was this repertory can, because it's a generalized repertory, you can break those symptoms into components and you can reconnect them when you need it to. So there was a lot of flexibility in that repertory, which you never, in case you didn't have all the that particular specific peculiar symptom in one single rubric. So for example, even if you had a very simple case and you didn't have any concomitants and just got the location or the sensation or the aggravation and amelioration, you could still work out your case simply. So let's try and work out this particular case using first the traditional repertorization, then we'll try and work out using the quest part, and then we'll try and look and confirm this remedy using a remedy comparison. So I'll just open up. So this is the opening screen of the software. Now we have different browsers. So these are the different sections of the repertory. The repertory browser, the repertory search, the quest, the Metromedica browser, the remedy comparison, and the case notes. When you start off, this is what you see. The repertory browser has all the different repertories here. I will select the Bonninghausen repertory, and these are the different sections in the Bonninghausen repertory. Now, if you select a particular section here, then these are your rubrics from that particular section. If you click on a particular rubric, the remedies come up on the right side of your screen. And if you double click the rubric, the repatriation starts right at the bottom here. So you can actually select different sections, different rubrics, you double click them and the repatriation gets updated right at the bottom. Now, whenever you see a remedy, say silica, and you click on that, you can open up the Mater directly. So what's happening here is you see the books containing silica and all these different chapters, all these different books with the silica chapter right here. So whenever you see different remedies, you can click on them and open up the Mater there. Now, I was looking at a particular case here. So this was the case I thought we'll try and have an example and see how you can work up a quick acute totality using these 5 symptoms. So I've selected location as forehead, sensation as sore bruised, aggravation cold air, aggravation while coughing, and fear of failure as a concomitant. So the way you can actually work out this case would be in 3 different ways. The first way I would go is just a traditional repertorization. Now, when I'm using a traditional repertorization, I don't go into the repertory browser and select individual repertories and look for sections and then find those rubrics within that section. What I normally do, which is a quicker way, is go to the repertory search. Now, what happens at the repertory search is you can actually search from a specific repertory and all the chapters from a repertory. So say, for example, I select the advanced option in this search and I select only the Bonninghausen repertory and I say OK. So what's going to happen now is I'm going to search from only the Bonninghausen repertory, which is my main repertory for this particular case. Sorry, I'll use a different sheet. You can use different sheets here and you can have multiple sheets here. So all you need to do is just create new sheets and you can have as many repertorization sheets as you want. So I'm using sheet 2 here and let's see, we want to use that same 5 rubrics and see how you can find it from the Bonninghausen repertory. So the first way I'll do is I'll use forehead and then I get all the rubrics from Bonninghausen repertory with forehead in them. And I'll go and select the main rubric, which is head internal forehead sinciput. This is the one I want. I double click on that and that particular rubric is added on into my repertorization sheet. I'll select the next one. The next one is the bruised sensation. So I'll just say bruised. What's happening here is all the different rubrics of bruised pain in every chapter or from the repertory are being displayed here. So what you can do is you can select the common sensation in general, bruised, beaten, sore as if, and you double click on that and you enter that down here. So what's happening here is even if you do not know the rubric or you don't know where it's actually located in your repertory, you can actually use this particular sheet so that you can actually use this particular repertory search section to find it from anywhere in the repertory. So that's the advantage of having this particular chapter, this particular section here. Let's look at the third one. We have aggravation, air, cold. So now these are all the rubrics with air, cold aggravates. And you can see it's coming from every chapter, from cough, from eyes, from vision, from hearing. I want the general chapter, so I'll just go down and look for where aggravation, amelioration in general are. Okay, so there it is. We have aggravation. My mouse is playing up today, so I'm so sorry. Okay, so there it is, aggravation, amelioration in general. I'm so sorry, my mouse This is the problem with my Mac. Okay, I'll just go using my keyboard. Okay, there we aggravation error code in general. You can just use a keyboard and say enter, and that things get entered down here. I'm just checking up because I think by mistake I've put in a few other rubrics down here. So if you want to remove a particular rubric, you can just go and click on that rubric. So we have three rubrics here. So I think we have done the right thing. So we have air cold from. Oh, I've put a rubric here which is not needed. If there's a rubric you don't want, you can just click on that rubric and say remove rubric, and that rubric goes away. And now I want aggravation cold air in aggravates directly. So I'll just use this one, double click, and that's the rubric which is added here. Let's take the fourth one, aggravation cough. So you all the rubrics with cough here, cough during. I want something during cough. There it is. We'll look at the general with cough aggravate. So this is the last one. Okay, there it is. Aggravation and amelioration in general, coughing during aggravates. I'll enter there. So there we have your repertorization here. You have nux, phosphorus, rustox, and we have the last rubric here, fear of failure. Okay, that's from the mind section. Double click. Okay, so you have 5 rubrics and you have nux, phosphorus, rustox, arnica, sulfur. I'll use the top remedies, which have all the 5 rubrics in those remedies, as my analysis, because you can have 2 different types of analysis. You can sort out the remedies by the total score, or you can sort out the remedies by the rubrics. I've chosen to sort them out by the rubrics. So you have phosphorus, arnica, sulfur, natrum mu, and nux vomica, or rather just 4 of them have all 5 rubrics in them. So this is one way, which is the traditional way of doing the Bonninghausen analysis here. Let's go the quest way. Now, what happens in the quest analysis is you are repertorizing from both the Matamedica as well as the repertory. So let's put all these 5 rubrics again in the quest search and see what happens there. So you have in the quest, you have forehead. Let's consider pain. Now, what happens here is you have the top remedies here with forehead pain. So you have sepia, sulfur, natrimule, lyco, spigelia, and so on. So these are the remedies sorted out based on the grades and based on the number of times they have been put in there by different authors. Let's look at the second rubric, bruised pain. So you have these are the top these are the top rubric remedies: sulfur, natrimule, nux vomica, zinc, arnica, phosphorus for bruised pain, be it in any part of the body. The third rubric we put is air cold aggravates. Now you have the third rubric repertoires here from both the repertories and the Matramedica, and the top remedies there are rustox, nux vomica, silica, hepar, arsenic, causticum, phosphorus, sepia, and so on. Let's look at the fourth rubric. The fourth rubric is aggravation cough during. So now you have the fourth rubric been repertorized: sulfur, chamomilla, ipecac, verbescum, rustox, ignatia, and so on. And let's look at the fifth one, which is fear of failure. Okay, sorry. If you're realizing I'm putting a space in between each rubric, and then you just say enter, and these are the top rubric remedies for fear of failure. Now, what happens down in the graph is the graph gives you the common remedies for all these 5 rubrics together. So this is the quest analysis, which is the top remedies from the repertorization and the Matramedica information of these 5 rubrics. So what's happening is, as soon as you start putting things in the quest analysis, you save time in 3 different ways. You don't have to refer to the Mathematica and read each rubric, each remedy again, because that data is already sorted out. So what I normally would do is, if I don't have time and if I have a patient directly sitting in front of me, I would just use the quest analysis. As soon as the symptoms start coming and I think they're keynote symptoms, I'll simply put them in my quest analysis with a space in between. And when I do it this way, and then you keep on adding symptoms as they come, you can delete symptoms if you want to. So there's a lot of flexibility you can actually work out here. You can make those as longer symptoms. You can, shorten or increase the length of your rubric as you want, and just play with it, because this is the way you can actually sort out your data quite quickly. And then I can do a traditional repatriation using my favorite Mathematica, and which is what we have here. And we compare what are the common remedies for the repatriation and the quest analysis. Now, the reason for this is, when you compare 2 different sets, the confirmation of your remedy increases a lot. So I would rather do 2 different ways and then compare, so that the remedy which I prescribe is much more accurate. Now, as you see, phosphorus and sulfur come up at the top 3 with both these informations. So sulfur and phosphorus is here, and sulfur and phosphorus here. Obviously, you have naxlomic and natramyl coming up. But if I'm looking at the top 3 remedies, then these 2 come up quite clearly. So what I can do is, if I have some additional time in here, because quest would take about a couple of minutes, the repatriation would take 3 or 4 more minutes. And then if I have more time, I'll go into the remedy comparison. Now, this is a very interesting way of actually being able to compare 2 remedies and with respect to a particular location. So let's see, I'm comparing phosphorus. So I'll put that in the remedy comparison. So this is the remedy comparison section. As you can see here, this is the remedy comparison section, and you can compare 1 or 2 or many remedies here with respect to 1 or 2 different symptoms. And I'll put in sulfur in there. So let's put in sulfur, add to the remedy comparison. So now you have phosphorus and sulfur added in here. And I'm putting a word filter. Say I want to compare the headaches of both sulfur and phosphorus, and look at how they have this fine tuning and how they differ in their own unique way. So if I put in head in here, and I say I want contrasting rubrics, which means I want the headache symptoms of phosphorus which don't have sulfur, and I have the headache symptoms of sulfur which don't have phosphorus. And I say compare. Now, what happens here, if you realize, is you get keynotes of that particular rubric, that remedy. So, say phosphorus, you have anxiety, tension, headache with. So you have lots of anxiety with headache, anxiety stomach in with extending to head, and anxiety stomach in with head. And you see phosphorus is coming up very clearly in so many of them. Whereas if you look at sulfur, you have more about the confusion here. Now again, dullness is with headache is phosphorus. Whereas if you go down, so this for me actually becomes a very important source to ask keynote questions and direct questions to my patient when I'm just trying to compare 2 different remedies here at the end of my analysis. So, okay. So if I look down here, okay, again, my mouse is playing up. I'll just use the keyboard. Okay. All right, just bear with me here. So what's happening is you have anxiety, which is phosphorus. If you go down, and you can look in here, impatience during headache is sulfur, and irritability during headache is sulfur. Whereas grief, anxiety, indolence, aversion to work is more phosphorus. So here I might ask fine tuning questions to my patient. What is the emotional state happening there? Is it more the anxious part which is happening? Is there more grief? Or is it more irritability and impatience? If there's more irritability and impatience, I would give sulfur. If there's more of the dullness and the anxiety, I'll go more with phosphorus. So these are ways you can actually fine tune and use those specific keynotes at the end of your analysis to give that particular remedy. So doing these three different conformations for me would increase the accuracy of your prescription really very high. Instead of just going there, which I used to do initially, and just sort of do one repertorization and just give whatever comes up, read a few bits of Metramedica knowledge, which is not really can happen at that particular moment if you don't know that remedy quite well. So if I work along these three different ways, depending on how much time you have, this can actually work very well. So I think that for me was a very and this is exactly what I wanted to share with you today, was to be able to use these repertories and to be able to use the database of our computers in various forms. Now, are there any questions or any particular things you want to actually talk about or you want me to specifically address? Are there any questions you might have? Do you want me to do another case out here? I'll just open up.
Are you there, Sheila?
Yes, hi, Dennis.
Yeah, good. Look, I've just got some notes from some of the cases that were taken a couple of years ago.
Yes, okay.
Let's just grab one at
Let's
random.
have very
What do you
much,
reckon?
yes.
Okay. Uh, Person was a female,
Okay, let me just,
30 years old,
yeah,
not taking any medications. She's presented with cystitis
okay,
since the last 2 days.
yeah, mm-hmm,
So she's got frequent urging,
mm-hmm,
but only passes a small amount.
mm-hmm,
She has burning sensation at the conclusion, at the close of urination.
yeah,
She has pain in the urethra,
yeah,
and it only happens after sex.
mm-hmm,
And that's all I've got.
okay, great. So let's try and work that out. So we can use the Bonninghausen or we can just directly go and work on Quest here if you want to. Okay, well, I would rather use Quest here. So let's look just the cystitis. So these are all the top remedies for cystitis which come up.
Yep.
Let's look at the second one. What was the second symptom? Frequent urging.
Painful urination at the, hang on,
Yeah.
frequent urging.
Frequent urging. Frequent
Yep.
urging. Yeah. So you have urging very frequently to urinate.
Yeah,
Very much. Either
passes a small amount, so I'd say scanty urine.
scanty urine. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Scanty urination.
Yep. Burning sensation at close of urination.
Burning at close of urination. So if you realize what I'm doing here is I'm putting in shorter words as well because that would help you sort of get a more broad spectrum. You can get urine, urination, and all those different words come up when you put the short words. So if you see anything else, Dennis, was there something we missed out?
And happens, she's got pain in the urethra.
Yeah, pain in the urethra.
Although that's not clarified.
Okay. So do you want to put that, pain in the urethra?
And aggravated, or its sort of causation is having sex.
Okay.
Causation, coition, I guess.
Yeah.
You there?
Yeah, 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 I'm here. Can
Hello?
you see? Can you see the? Can you see the screen? Hi, Dennis. Did I miss you? Just a moment. Hello, Dennis. I think something's happened. I've lost him. I'm just wondering if I can hear everyone else here. Just a moment.
Opus.
Yeah, I'm using
Hi.
radar too, but
Hi, I'm back here.
Oh, you're back.
you're back.
Okay.
Okay, we're
Yeah,
just having a little
sorry.
chat there, Shilpa.
Good. Something happened and I just lost that. Anyway. Um,
Yeah, anyway,
okay.
you're back.
I'm back here. Can you see? Can you
Yeah,
see the screen again?
yeah.
Great. So we have cystitis, frequent urging, scanty urine, burning clothes of urination, pain urethra, and aggravated coitus. And the top remedies which are coming up are lyco, sulfur, myrrh, thuya, apis, phosphorus, and sarsaparilla. Okay. Now, I would, if I'm just doing a quest analysis, I would also, I could compare two different remedies here, even within the quest analysis, to look at what could be the closest remedy out there. So one way we could do is, say, for example, if I have done repatriation as well, I could look into the repatriation and look at the common remedies which come up. But if I'm just doing, do you want any two remedies which you would think we would want to compare here?
Um, well, I can't see the remedy that she was prescribed
Okay, sorry. Can you see the bottom of the
because this
screen?
is yeah, I can see that, but it's not there either. Um, but the
Okay, just a moment. I'll just, okay, I'll read you the remedies. It's sorry. Okay, so it's lycos, sulfur, myrrh, thuya, apis, phosphorus, sarsaparilla, rustox, carboage, and so on. Now, what I could also do is, okay, can you see that? All right, great. What I could also do is do a bit of fine tuning here. So, say we have cystitis, frequent urging to urination, scanty urine, burning at the close of urine, pain in urethra, and aggravation coitus. Do you want to do any fine tuning? Do you want to add or subtract any symptoms here? I've missed
yeah,
you.
and they
Yeah.
end up giving her a guitar, and there's nothing.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Dennis, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Good. All right. I don't know what's happening. Something's the voice system. I can't hear in
We've
between.
got
Yeah.
gremlins in the system.
So, okay. So, what was the remedy you were looking for?
She was given Staphylococcus aureus.
She was giving Staphylococcus aureus here. Okay.
Yeah.
This is interesting. So, let's do a Bonninghausen repertorization here and see what happens. Okay. Was that the repertory used? What was the repertory used in this case?
Look, I'm not too sure what the repertory was used. It might have been it might have been Kent, it might have been radar.
Okay. So let's do a general repertorization because this is from both the Metramedica and the repertories.
Yeah.
Try and do it from all the repertories. So cystitis, we'll take the main symptom, bladder cystitis. The second one was burning at the close of urination.
Burning it close. Yeah.
Yeah, burning at the close of urination.
it's not saying that Staphysaga was right, but
Yeah, yeah.
it was
We'll just
scanty
find.
urine.
Yeah, yeah. I know. Let's have a look and see what comes up, because staph is not coming up in the Mathemedica repertorization at all
No,
at the top remedy. It might be somewhere down the bottom. So staph's coming up here, if you
yeah,
can see at the bottom,
yeah, yeah,
but it's
yeah,
like the 12th remedy
yeah.
coming up there. So let's look at what comes up in the basic repertorization. So this is the Mathemedica and the repertory, but let's do the basic repertorization as well, just to be,
Sure.
yeah, and see what are the common remedies coming up. The second one is scanty urine. Okay, scanty urine. Okay, treatment urging. And pain urethra. Was it correct? Pain urethra? You want to take that?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And the last one is aggravation coercion.
Coercion.
Okay. And
That's
let's
a
take
very strong one.
that's very strong. So let's take that and
Yeah,
in the females. Okay, now if you go and see here, the remedies which are coming up are Apis, Mork, Sarsaparilla, Sepia, Cannabis sativa, Lyco, Pulsatilla, and Staph.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
when you use just the repertorization, Staph come up very strongly. But when you use the Mathemedica analysis as well, that is interesting. Staph comes up, I would say the 12th remedy or something. Oh, so not even the 12th, it
yeah.
comes on the second page. So
Yes,
if I were at that place, I would be interested in comparing Apis, Merck, and Sarsaparilla, because they are the common remedies
sure.
in the first three, if that makes sense. I don't know. Yeah, Apis, Merck, and SARS come as the top three in the repertory in the repertorization, and in the quest analysis, Merck comes as the third one, Apis comes, and Sarsaparilla comes, in the first six, seven. So if I'm comparing, I would compare
And
these.
and
And
and just an interesting,
yeah, go on.
sideline that
Yeah.
she came back 3 days later with a bad chesty cough.
Okay.
So it may have been the wrong remedy altogether and sort of brought something else out.
Okay. But
So
that's very good. Yeah, that this is very interesting for me.
yeah,
Just from the back of my, if I just have to give and make my choice, I would go with Apis. But
yeah,
yeah, but it's good to know different ways, and but I hope I'm making it clear. It's like when you do two or three different things, it just makes it more easier to be able to find
sure,
remedies, because there could be so many remedies which come up, if you know what I mean, when
indeed.
you repertorize things. Yeah. Thank you for that. That was good.
That's okay. It's it's often I find anyway that paper cases don't really give you a clear picture of what's going on anyway. Seeing the person in front of you is really what it's all about, isn't it?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, I'll let you
Sorry,
talk.
I missed you again, Dennis. Sorry.
I said I'll let you talk, Shilpa.
No, no, no. That's
I'll let,
okay. I'm missing things in between because I think my audio system is, yeah. If I have to go and actually analyze the remedies again in the remedy comparison, I would again do the same thing. Say I would say, if I'm choosing Merck, Apis, or Sarsaparilla, I would say Merck comes up strongly. I'll go again in the remedy comparison and I'll clear this. I'll add Merck and say I'll add Apis, and then I'll compare them with respect to urinary symptoms. And I say contrasting rubrics and compare, and then you get a lot more choice when you're again sort of working on with urination symptoms, and then you can look for different, so say pain in different parts of the body. So I think it just gives you a lot of other things to compare with when you're looking at that fine tuning at the end, because making those prescription on the spot is actually just trying to get all our database in front of us and to be able to choose the best rubrics out there. Now with the others, any other questions you would have, anything else you wanted me to speak on or discuss? Anya has a question here. I'll just unmute you. Hi Anya, how are you?
Hi, good,
Good.
thanks. I'm just with the remedy comparison.
Yeah.
I was trying to do what you were doing, but I'm not able. Like, if I'm on the graph and looking at, for example, Merck,
Yeah.
I'm not able to straight away put it in the remedy comparison. I have to do that manually, go one by one. You know what I mean?
Okay. So when you are in the remedy comparison window itself,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I just do that manually because I wasn't able to just before I saw that you were on Merck, and then straight away you could put it to remedy comparison, yeah,
yes.
without, yeah.
There are
So
two
in
ways.
my,
Yeah,
yeah.
go on.
So so if I am not able to do it, just do it manually, yeah, like just go through all of them
No, no,
and
no.
just choose,
No,
yeah.
no, you don't have to go manually. When you are in the remedy comparison window, like say I've selected one of the remedies here, Abis canadensis, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
You can just type the first three letters of that remedy. So say if I want to go to Merck, I would just do MERC and Merck comes up.
Okay.
So you don't have to go
Yeah.
manually one by one because there are about 3,000
Okay.
or 4,000 remedies in there. You just type the first three letters of the alphabet and that remedy would appear up there.
Where do I type it? Can you show me again?
Yeah.
Sorry.
So when you click on one of the remedies in the remedy comparison and it's highlighted with the
Mm-hmm.
blue ring on your
Yeah.
keyboard, just type the first three letters. So say now I'm
Okay.
in Morg and I want to bring APIS, I just type API and it comes to APIS and then you can go to APIS.
All right. Sweet. Thank you very much.
That's fine. Okay. Thank you so much. And unless there are any more queries, if you have any other questions even after this, and you can always write to me, and I would be able to help you out. And even at the even at the festival, say for example, you do have something, and you can always give me a ring, and I'll be able to help you out. That's fine.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. You all take care, and all the very best. And yeah, great work, and see you then.